Hi, I'm Becky with the Howard County Library System, and today we're going to take a look at a few extra tools offered through Google Drive. We're going to start out by looking at Google Slides. So you can start by going up to the top left here, clicking New, and then Google Slides. And that's going to open a blank presentation for you. So the first thing we can do is rename our presentation. So we'll just stick with my presentation. And then you can go over to the right-hand column here under Themes, and you can select a theme for your presentation. So there's multiple Google-generated themes offered, and usually it's easiest just to stick with one of these. You can customize them to your liking or build a complete new one if you want, but we're just going to stick with one generated by Google. So once you have your theme picked out, you're going to want to start adding text to your presentation. And your theme is going to give you guidelines on where to put what. So we'll start right here where it says click to add title. And we'll just name it, again, my presentation. And then we'll click in the text box underneath where it says subtitle. And I'll just put my name. And then after that, we want to add a new slide to the presentation. So to do that, we're going to come up to the left here and click on this plus sign. And it's going to automatically add a new slide. And then we're going to do the same thing as before, just filling in the text boxes that are offered to us. So I'll just put header 1 and then some text. And you're going to see a lot of similarities as far as text editing to what we went over in Google Docs. So here I can add bullet points to the text that I have. So if I come up to the top, I can look for that same bullet point option that we had in Google Docs. But you see it's not automatically listed here on the toolbar. So if you click these three little dots on the end here, that is pretty much a universal symbol for more options whenever you see three dots in a row like that. So if we click that, then we'll see our bullet point button that we used in Google Docs. But I'm not going to click that. Instead, I'm going to try to expand my toolbar a little so I don't have to keep going to that more button. I'd rather just see everything I can on the toolbar. So because we already have our theme picked out, I'm going to go ahead and close this window. And then as you can see, that's going to expand my toolbar a little. And then when I click in this text box once more, you can see that that bullet point button then appears. Okay, so one more time, I'm going to add another slide, but I want to choose what slide gets added. So in order to do that, instead of clicking this plus sign, I'm going to click the down arrow next to it. And then I can see all my different slide options that are offered within my theme. So we'll just click this one. And again, it's going to give me suggested text box to enter my information in. So I'll start with the title. We'll just go with the section 1. And then I'll jump down here to subtitle. Now I could just add something as I did before. But say, for instance, that I don't want anything in this subtitle. I could just leave it blank whenever we go to do the final presentation. It won't show on the slide. But just to keep it clean and easy for me to read and understand, I'm going to show you guys how to delete one of these auto-generated text boxes. So first, I'm just going to put some random characters in here so we can see what we're working with. So in order to do this, we want to first select the text box. This is going to be different than how we click to add text to it. Instead, we want to go right on the border of the text box, and you're going to see your cursor change to this 4-arrow cross, and that's how you know you're on the text box. You're not typing in it. You're actually selecting it. So once you see that, your cursor change, you can go ahead and click on it. And to delete it, you can just click on it to select and hit delete on your keyboard. Okay, I am going to add some text over here on the right just to fill out the slide. And another thing you can do with these text boxes is you can move them around. So if you, again, make sure your cursor changes to that 4-arrow cross, you can just click and drag, and you can see your text box will move. And one other thing I'm going to do is change the text alignment. So if you come up here to the Align button, you can click on that. And there's two rows here. So the top row is the standard left, center, right, justified alignment that we saw in Google Docs. But underneath is the alignment for the text box. So you can align text to the top of the box, the middle of the box, or the bottom. So I can change that to top and the text will move. Okay, so the final thing we're going to look at is how to actually start our presentation. So we want to first click on the first slide in our presentation. So over here on the left, you can see all of your slides in order. So we'll click on number 1. And then we're just going to come up here and hit slideshow. And then you'll see the presentation enters full screen. To advance the slides, go to the next slide. You can hit the space bar, or you can hit the left and right arrows on the keys. And then whenever you're done, just hit escape on your keyboard and you'll exit the presentation. So next we're going to take a look at Google Photos. And in order to get into this, we're going to go somewhere different than we normally do. So we're going to go up to this square of dots next to our account icon. And that's going to open up all of the apps offered through Google. So if you scroll down, you can see there's a lot of options, and I highly encourage you to take a look at all of these and see what's going to work for you. But we're just going to stick to photos right now, so you can go ahead and click on that. And as you can see, I don't have any photos now. So in order to add some, we're going to hit upload, and we're going to go from computer. And then I'll just select 2 images to add. And I'll hold down the Shift key so I can select multiple files. All right, and then you can see those 2 uploaded. So we can close that notification out. And if you look over here on the left, you'll see a libraries category, and that has albums underneath. So that's a nice way of organizing all of your photos. So if we click albums, we can see we don't have any yet. So we'll hit create album. And then I'll title this 5-star showcase. And then we want to add photos. So we'll add these 2 that we just uploaded. We can hit done. And then you can see our photos are now stored in the album. So we can hit back here. And we'll see we have one album, 5-star showcase, with 2 pictures in it. Okay, so let's add a few more photos. So we're going to go back to photos, hit upload, computer, and then we'll select 2 more images, hit open. And then we'll see that notification down there on the left again, the one that we exited out before, but this time we're going to hit add to album. And then that allows us to either add to the existing album, the 5-star showcase, or we can just create a new one. So let's do that. And we'll call this pop-up library. Okay, when we're done, we can hit this check mark on the left and then hit the arrow to go back. And now you can see over on the left, we have 2 albums. If we click on that, there they are, the 5-star showcase and pop-up library. And then one more thing to note with Google Photos, if you hover over one of your albums, you're going to see 3 little dots in the right-hand corner. If you click on those, you're going to see some more options that you have with your Google Photo album. So one of the more commonly used ones is this share feature. If you click it, you can see that you have the option to type in email addresses or contacts that are already saved in your Google account, and you can actually share the photos in that album with them. Okay, so finally we are going to take a look at Google Forms. So we're going to click the new button again. We're going to go down to Google Forms, click on that, and you'll see a blank form open. So we're going to add a title for our form. And so this example, we're going to do a neighborhood potluck sign-up sheet. So we'll just name this neighborhood potluck. And then if you want, you can add a form description. I'll just leave it blank. And then we're going to come down here and start our first question. So we'll type, will you be attending the neighborhood potluck? And we just want to do a simple yes or no. So we can come down here to the radio buttons that are already added for us. And we'll say the first one, yes. And then we'll click under to add another option. And we'll type no. And then we want to add a question. So we'll come over here to the right, hit this plus sign to add a question. And this one will be, what type of dish will you be bringing? And for this one, instead of the radio buttons, we want to do check boxes. Check boxes are going to allow the person taking the survey to select multiple options, whereas the radio buttons we used before is just multiple choice. You can only select one. So we will set the options main dish, side dish, dessert, and drinks. Okay, we'll add one more question. And for this one, we're going to do a short answer. And this question will be the name of your dish. Okay, the next question we're going to add is a date preference. And we're going to do a drop down for this. So we're going to do a first choice date preference. And then underneath, we're going to add all of our options that will appear in the drop down menu. And then we also want to add a second choice date. But to make it a little easier on ourselves, instead of creating a new question, we can just copy our first choice date question. And then after that's done, we can just change the title to second choice. And then we can even add a third choice date if we wanted to. So I'll go ahead and do that. But on second thought, I think 3 options is too many, so we're just going to go back down to 2. So in order to delete a question, just come down to the bottom here and click this little trash can to delete. Okay, then we can take a look at how this survey is going to look when someone is taking it. So in order to send this to the people that we want to survey, we can click the send button. And you can see the default is to type in email addresses to send, but you can also copy a link to it. If you click this link button here, you'll see a link that you can copy and paste into an email or flyer, whatever you want to do. But we'll go back to email, and then I'll just type in my own email so we can see how this works. Go ahead and hit send. And then if I go to my Gmail account, I can see I received the email to take the survey. So I'm going to go ahead and hit fill out form. And I can go ahead and answer the questions. And when I'm done, I'll hit submit. And then if I go back to my form file, my original file that I created, I can see up here where it says responses, we have 1 response. And if you scroll down, you can see some different statistics on the responses that you received. It's pretty boring right now because we only have 1 response. But once you get more responses to your survey, you can see how this would be useful in looking at all of the data you collected. So that brings us to the end of our Google Drive series. I hope you learned some new things and are eager to get started on your own. I'll say it one more time. The easiest way to learn this stuff is just by doing. So go ahead, get online, start practicing, and you're going to be a pro in no time.